AKA my family.
My fans, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. We're talking some NBA basketball. We're talking some offseason. And we're following up on this report from Shams Charania, Spinoni.
The Magic can open up in excess of $60 million in cap space this offseason. So there are going to be players, when you think about free agency and other moves that can be made, you look at scoring. In Game 7, obviously struggled a little bit to score the ball, especially in the second half of the game when the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell kept coming for them. So you look at the point guard position, but also shooting and scoring on the wing. And one name to keep an eye on, Klay Thompson. I'm told there is mutual interest between the Magic and Klay Thompson. Thompson, along with several other vets around the league, are looking at the Magic as a situation where if you plug in a guy like Klay Thompson, you plug in another veteran player, whether it be at the point guard position, the shooting guard position, this team can make a real jump around Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Both guys, Paolo Banchero already a star, already a guy that's been a part of Team USA. Franz Wagner has the ability to potentially be an all-star as well. But if you plug in some more shooting and scoring, I think that's what can take this Orlando team to another level.
So how's Orlando feeling this, Spinoni? How are they feeling it? What is the pulse down in Orlando, Florida with the Orlando Magic? You know I love me some Paolo Banchero. Love him.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Melo 2.0.
You saw him at Chase Center. You became infatuated.
Oh, yeah, when he was at Duke University.
Oh, come on.
No doubt. No doubt about that.
Love at first sight.
Love at first sight with Paolo Banchero. I like Wagner as well. A lot of people at the Warriors organization love Wagner. They selected Kuminga ahead of Wagner. But let's go down to Orlando to Brandon Kravitz. 96.3 the game in Orlando. Also the pre- and post-game show host for the Magic on their radio airwaves. Brandon, good morning, man. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Bonte Hill, just Spinoni here on the Morning Roast.
How you doing, guys? This is one of a rare appearance for me on the West Coast. So this feels like a big moment. I love it out there, so it's a pleasure to be on the airwaves.
Yeah, no doubt. I've never been down to Orlando, but I hear great things about it. Harry Potter World, Disney World, of course, I think is in my future with my 3-year-old daughter. Spinoni loves it. Spinoni loves Disney World.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Star Wars, everything. I haven't been there yet, but I want to. Yeah, there you go.
We'll get down there.
A little hot in Florida, though. A little too hot for me.
Maybe humid, but will it be too hot for Klay Thompson? Now, Klay Thompson, this Orlando thing with Klay Thompson, we've been discussing it, Brandon, all season long because we kind of identified a team with a lot of cap space, and then you see the season play out with the lack of shooting from Orlando. So let's just start here, Brandon. How are Magic fans feeling? What is the pulse down there in Orlando when the name Klay Thompson comes up? Are Magic fans interested? Are they ready to throw him a big bag? What's the pulse down there in Orlando when it comes to Klay Thompson?
Yeah, it is a constant conversation here. It's like a lot of things. I think there's pretty much a divide when it comes to Klay Thompson. I actually threw out a poll yesterday on my personal Twitter account. I was curious what people thought about the player that is being discussed down here that you want the least. So I threw Klay Thompson on there. D'Angelo Russell has a player option that he's probably going to decline. That's a good three-point shooter that's been discussed. Trae Young, maybe the Hawks want to move off of him because it's just not working. And Paul George is a name that's been rumored by Ramona Shelburne, so that's not just plucking a name out of thin air.
Right.
And second place on the voting, if people understood the question properly, which is who do you want the least, was Klay Thompson. It was D'Angelo Russell 1, Klay Thompson 2, and they were pretty neck and neck. So not that that's scientific, but I think it does give us a good idea of it. I think enough fans in this town understand that great name, great legacy, tremendous talent, but is he worth what you would have to pay him given where he is in his career?
Do you see him as a fit for the Magic?
In like a best case scenario, he's the perfect fit for the Magic. He has a championship pedigree. By all accounts, from what I understand on the East Coast, good locker room guy. I mean, he's played second fiddle or third fiddle his entire career, which is what you don't want to bring in somebody that's going to usurp Paolo Banchero in his rise towards an all-NBA star. Klay Thompson would not get in the way of that. He's still a knockdown three-point shooter. He's better than anybody else that's on the Magic roster in terms of three-point shooting, even in a slightly diminished state. So the answer is yes, but is he... to me, it doesn't come down to Klay Thompson, the player. But Klay Thompson, the player right now, is a perfect fit. And Magic fans should be clamoring to add someone like that to their roster. I think he would be a tremendous help. The problem is, does Klay Thompson view himself as a $25 million a year player rather than a $40+ million a year player. To me, it comes down to dollars and cents.
Right.
If you sign Klay Thompson $40+ million a year over 3 or 4 seasons, I think you're tanking your cap in a negative way, and it's ultimately not going to pay off. If you get him on a discount, then great. But come on, I think, and I would love to hear your response on this. I don't think you're getting Klay on a discount.
No. I mean, look, the rumored deal before the season, and we're talking to Brandon Kravitz, 96.3 The Game in Orlando, pre- and post-game show host for the Magic on their radio airwaves. Look, he apparently got offered 2 years, $48 million, and it wasn't so much about the $24 million a year. I think it was more so about the long-term, the longevity of the contract. I think he wants 3 years. I think he wants at least 3 years to go out in his NBA career, and if he got $25 million per, I do believe Klay would accept that. Anywhere from 25 to 30. Now, I don't think he's going to be asking for 35, Brandon. I think that's off the table. 40 million off the table. But anywhere from 25 to 28, 29 million, I think is in play. But I think it's the years that he may be seeking. And I have no knowledge. Look, I worked the pre- and post-game show out here on television for the Golden State Warriors, and I have really no idea. But I think 3 years is what he's searching as opposed to the annual value per season.
Yeah, and I mean it's good insight, and it's definitely something I'll take with me today. So I appreciate that. I do wonder too if age is a bit of an issue here because he's already 34 years old. His best days, not only athletically, but also just in terms of his glory days in his career, are behind him. Does he bring the same level of energy and the hunger to win and accomplish something for the first time? That's one of the things that made this Magic team special. You see this across the NBA every single year. Part of what made the Magic good is that they cared night after night. They won a lot of games simply on effort. Now, that's only going to take you so far in the playoffs because everybody's trying hard come the postseason. But they won a lot of games simply because on a random Tuesday in Charlotte, they wanted to win a basketball game. And that's not the case for everybody. Is Klay Thompson going to carry that same sort of mentality and attitude? Because Frank, and I'm not judging him. Look, if I was at his stage in the game, I'd be like, you guys go out there and you try hard on Wednesday night against the Hawks. I'm going to take the night off. And I don't think that adding that recipe to the Magic cauldron, pun intended, would be a positive for the team. Yeah. So there are some question marks there. But if you're just talking about his skill set, he is exactly what the Magic need.
I don't think you'd have to worry about him playing hard every single game. There may be games he just doesn't have it because of the injuries he suffered to his legs and his age and all the games he's played. But I'm thinking effort thing. Klay Thompson's going to come out there and try to win a basketball game. And, on that team that lacks shooting, he's going to get his shots up. No doubt about that. But I think he can play well off of Paulo Paycaro. I'm surprised, though, Brandon, you didn't bring up Malik Monk because he's a free agent as well. And I kind of look at Malik Monk as another good fit down there in Orlando. Another guard who can break down the defense, dribble, drive, penetrate, and go off from the three-point line. Just watching Cole Anthony, he's a nice player. Markelle Fultz, nice player. Jalen Suggs, I loved him coming out of Gonzaga, but he can't stay healthy. A guy like Malik Monk could do wonders in that backcourt for you guys down there.
Yeah, I think, they had their exit interviews at the arena or the practice facility the other day, and I wasn't able to make it down there, but from all accounts, it sort of felt like a goodbye from Markelle Fultz. I think he knows, I think the team knows that they can let him go with no cap penalty, and it just didn't really take the step forward that you thought he was going to take after a pretty productive year last season. So I'd be surprised if he was still on the team. Same thing with Gary Harris. Gary Harris kind of folded down the stretch. Yep. His availability was a major issue and just wasn't the knockdown three-point shooter that you kind of need him. That spot in the starting rotation needs to be a 3-and-D kind of guy, and he wasn't really bringing it there. Jalen Suggs, he is the apple of this city's eye. People love him here. He's every team has their fan favorite that other cities don't realize is the actual fan favorite. Like I've learned it recently in Milwaukee, it's Bobby Portis. You would think it's Giannis, Right. For Orlando, that's Jalen Suggs.
Wow.
He is all energy, all defense. His three-point shot got a whole lot better. They're not moving off of him. If anything, they're going to give him a rookie extension in the offseason. Malik Monk, though, I am with you. And I think you could drop him right into the starting lineup. And just given the age and the energy, the trajectory of his career, I think he aligns better with where the Magic are than a guy like Klay Thompson. Look, if Klay ends up with the Magic, I'm going to do backflips on that. But I don't think it's okay, don't get it twisted. But I don't think it's the best move. I think Malik Monk is closer to that top echelon sort of decision for this team because of all the things that you said.
Talking to Brandon Kravitz, 96.3 The Game in Orlando here, talking Klay Thompson potentially moving off the Warriors and going to the Magic this summer. And, you talked about the price point for Klay, and I wonder the price point for free agents, when they look at the market of Orlando compared to some of these other teams, well, within your state, Miami and stuff like that, is there a tax to be paid, if you will, if you are Orlando and you got these young stars and you want to build around them? Maybe you have to pay a little bit more to entice a guy like a Klay Thompson or something like that, or a Malik Monk, right? Because I'm just trying to think, and you can speak well on this, Brandon, Orlando as a market for free agents, what is it exactly? Because I feel like since maybe Dwight Howard prime years, they really haven't been able to land any big fish there.
No, they haven't, and I think what we don't really know is that a market problem or is that an irrelevance problem? Mm-hmm. Because since Dwight left, this has been largely an irrelevant franchise. I love them, but let's just call a spade. The Miami Heat are the opposite of that. They've been hyper relevant. They took the LeBron, Dwayne Wade years and were able to parlay that into this new culture, and they brand themselves on that, and then added Jimmy Butler to the mix, and they've created an aura around themselves because of winning and because of Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. The Magic haven't done that. So I do think that there probably is a premium you have to pay just because you haven't established yourself as a winning organization. But the flip side to it, because there's an argument to be made that, okay, but why? Okay, the state of Florida, you only have one team in the NBA that competes with you on this front, which is no state income tax, which is huge. When you get salaries as big as these guys, that's a big chunk of your overall pay that you don't have to worry about in the state of Florida. The Magic just this last season upgraded their practice facility. That thing is a palace. I mean, I'm talking hyperbaric chambers, nap rooms. I'm not kidding. There are nap rooms.
I could use a nap right now, Brandon. Don't bring up that word. I can use one right now.
Sorry. I used to do morning shows. I understand. You can't bring up nap rooms for morning show, guys. But the place is immaculate. That by itself is, it's like going on a tour of a new house or a new apartment. When everything is new and crispy, you're a lot more. There's a lot more appeal there, and I think that that's part of it. So the cap space, the state income tax, the Taj Mahal of a practice facility, and young stars. Now there is relevancy. You have an all-star in Paolo Banchero, so you shouldn't need to pay that premium, but because you're not the Miami Heat or the Philadelphia 76ers, you probably do have to pay it.
What's the cap space? What is Orlando working with the total cap space going into this offseason, Brandon?
So the projected cap space is around $32 million, and that's with the assumption that guys like Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, I think those are the big ones, that Chuma Okeke would be part of this, that they're not going to be on the roster, and so that opens up that space. They could actually increase that significantly if they decide they want to move off of Mo Wagner, which I don't think they're going to. Mm-hmm. He's got little brother on the team,
right?
And he's a good player. And then Jonathan Isaac, he has a team option for $17 million. They could actually get to 32 is realistic. That's most likely what they're going to be working with in the summer. They could get up to close to $60 million.
Wow,
if they wanted to.
Wow.
So it just depends, but you got to let go of some good players in order to do that. But they have major flexibility. And here's the other thing that I keep having to remind myself. They kind of already have two added free agents on the roster. They had two top 11 picks in the draft last year. They haven't used them. Anthony Black was the 6th overall pick. He was barely in the lineup. And you get Jet Howard, who played in the G League all year. It was a knockdown three-point shooter. At least that was his profile coming into the league. We'll see if he can actually do it. But those guys are probably going to be added to the mix. So between those guys, the draft pick they'll have in June at 18, and the money that they can spend in free agency, the core pieces will be the same, but this could be a completely different sort of lineup.
And a team that could contend in the Eastern Conference. A very good step in the right direction for Orlando this season. I love Paulo Banchero from the minute I laid eyes on him when Duke University came out here to Chase Center to play the NCAA tournament. You guys got a real stud down there. Wagner is a player. And you know what? You may have Klay Thompson. Brendan, since the All-Star break, Klay shot 41% from three and 46% from the floor. So he's still got that shot in him. Hopefully he doesn't go down to Orlando. I will miss Klay. But Brandon, good stuff, man. Great insight from down there in Orlando. Really good stuff, man. Have a good day.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Brandon Kravitz, 96.3 the game in Orlando, pre and post game for Orlando on the radio airways. We're going to replay some of that sound there as you're listening.